Hey, Marvel fans. I forgot what I was going to say. Why do I do this every time? All right. Thanks for joining us. Today, it's Thursday once again. And we were talking about Marvel's The Eternals and the expectations for it coming out next week, November 5th. So yeah, we've got some Marvel Cinematic news teasers and speculation about what's to come for you. So stick around and don't miss out. This is the FOMO show. Why is it? It's not clicking. All right, guys. This is Dylan.
And I'm Quinn.
Are you?
I am.
And thanks for joining us. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or wherever you happen to find this out there on the internet.
Be in some weird places sometimes.
Anywheres. So subscribe and hit the little bell, subscribe, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon. Dang. And yeah, my bad. I keep forgetting. Man, I am out of the game tonight.
It's okay.
Subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you know when we drop new videos, when we go live. Yeah.
So when we go live.
And when we go live, yeah. And don't forget to check out the website at www.broken.picturesno.com. Is there a flying?
I was shooing away the .com.
Oh. Like Kingo's finger guns.
Man, he's going to be funny. All right.
So, special notes, just stay healthy out there. We're enjoying actually being in public and being around people. So, do your part and be safe also because you don't want to get sick or get people you love sick. So.
Yes. All right, it's my turn. Kid.
To warm up your instrument.
This is it. Your final time to leave. This is your spoiler alert. I mean, we're not going to be talking about the actual Eternals movie. We haven't seen it. But anything else involving the MCU and various other properties, possibly Star Wars like one time, you may be spoiled if you haven't seen it. So go watch all of that. It'll take you a week. Come back and then watch this. You've been warned.
I can't help myself. It's right there. Okay, so tonight we are talking about the Eternals and what to expect next week when it drops. So, unfortunately, we'll be doing this and not going to watch Eternals when it comes out. And we are not one of the lucky few who, I mean, we could. We could. But yeah, we're not one of the lucky few who were invited to go to the premiere and have actually seen the movie. So we couldn't spoil it if we wanted to, and we did stay away from those who did spoil it.
Spoiled it.
A lot of punks.
A lot of punks.
Who, so it's ruined it for everybody else because Disney or Marvel goes out, or whoever goes out on a limb and invites all these YouTubers to come see the movie and puts the embargo in place saying, hey, don't talk about it until X date or whatever. And people came straight out and spoiled the after credit scenes and all kinds of stuff on Twitter.
Wow.
Because they're freaking trolls.
Wow.
Hashtag don't be a troll.
Hashtag I'm not doing that. Hashtag don't be a troll.
Ever see that skit?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you want to get hashtag don't be a troll merchandise, you can check out our store.
Whoop, whoop. Go check out the store. I'm going to say it every time there's just a quiet moment. Go check out the store.
I'm going to make it weird.
Going to make it real weird. Super uncomfortable for you and your mother.
You and your. Which reminds me of another SNL skit. It's like, how's your mother? To your mother, I say, hey. Oh man. Okay, so as far as MCU news goes, man, Eternals is next week, and 1 month is Spider-Man: Far From Home. We've got one trailer, no poster, and there have been supposed leaks of the trailer of like when a new trailer is coming. It's like, oh, there's one coming Monday, and it doesn't come, obviously. If we were talking Spider-Man No Way Home, there would be a lot of leaks and all kinds of stuff, just speculation, all kinds of stuff like that to talk about.
Stuff.
But one of us has not seen Venom yet, so we're not going to talk about that yet. So there is still a lot to talk about as far as like how Eternals will affect the MCU and what it means going forward, without getting into spoiler territory. So it's one for everybody.
Yeah.
So let's start out. Who are the Eternals? We kind of covered this a little bit a couple months ago, back before What If started.
Yeah.
And a little bit about, I think we did like what to expect with Carnage and Eternals.
Yep, it was a double feature episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so much more has come out pertaining to Eternals, just on YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that, where Marvel Studios is releasing these featurettes and all kinds of stuff, where Kevin Feige is talking about how it's just going to redefine and blow everything out of the water.
Shows up in a ball cap. Everything's gonna change.
It's a new ball cap.
It's a new ball cap.
Always a new ball cap.
So yeah, and
This new era logo on the side.
the featurettes. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, featurettes.
The featurettes are I watched them. You watched them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were nifty and neat, and it was just kind of showing what the movie said it was going to be since they announced it. It was a lot of location filming. Everybody, the cast is uber extra diverse.
Yeah,
so much so there's an actual child there.
Yeah, and I mean, so just real. Okay, so we just talk about in general. We'll get more in depth into that because there's a little controversy going on with the movie. Obviously, always because people.
Huh.
You enjoying that? Our new mugs that I scored from the stove.
From the stove.
For cheap dough.
For cheap dough. I was wondering. I was like really looking who was on here. It's just Spider-Man, Daredevil, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America. I'm wondering why Daredevil's on here. I know why, because of the era that these all are, but he got canceled on Netflix. So, I mean,
Or did he?
We'll see.
I mean, you were talking about Marvel news. That's legit. Charlie Cox said he will legitimately fight whoever is cast, whoever is cast as Daredevil if it's not him. But he said, be careful what you wish for. If we do get him as Daredevil coming back, it will probably not be the same version.
Yeah. I mean, it won't, because if it's in the MCU, it won't be as dark or as heavy. Because, I mean,
they've got opportunity now, especially with multiverse crossovers and all this kind of stuff that's up in the air right now. So I mean, so the Eternals right now is how they're expanding the Marvel universe inside of the universe we already know. So it's not necessarily multiverse. As far as we know, we have not seen the end credit scenes. Supposedly there's two, one mid, one end, and they are groundbreaking.
huh.
And mind-blowing. And they set like
So this is
This is the one.
their catalyst
this movie is
Yeah.
a catalyst for sure.
Right.
And so that also gets into a lot of people are not going to like this movie.
No.
Because it is drastically different than
Yes.
what has come before. Not to mention, like, I feel like this is the actual beginning of Phase 4, even though it started back with WandaVision, or actually with Black Widow, which, well, it was supposed to start with Black Widow.
That's weird to start with a prequel of someone who's no longer in the stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, there are rumors right now that Black
That's not
Widow,
the end.
it's not the end for her.
All right, I'll see.
I mean, just because of what I mean, if you're watching What If with us, what was set up with the crossover, bringing her from another universe, all that kind of stuff, that maybe she's not completely done yet. You know, I mean, because there's a huge fan resurgence right now with her too, because she's just a freaking badass. I mean, I've seen memes popping up. I saw another one pop up today that was like, "Hey, don't forget that when nobody stepped up, Nat stepped up and ran the Avengers when everybody was."
When everybody said, Captain America said, I'm going to go do therapy sessions. Iron Man said, I'm going to retire. Everybody else got snapped to death. Rhodey said, okay, I'll try. And she said, no. And he said, okay, you're right. Captain Marvel left the planet. Dang. She really stepped up. She did great.
Yeah, and so, I mean, also, spoilers for Shang-Chi, because this could be part of what, if you saw the end credits thing, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to spoil it in 3, 2, 1. The rings are summoning something, so it could very well be part of this, because we know from the trailers they talk about a resurgence that was it was kind of big. It was launched by
The energy from everyone coming back from
thank
the
you
snap.
for saying what I could not get out my
It's
head.
okay.
Yeah, so when the second snap happened, everybody came back, a bunch of energy was released, and it began the resurgence. Or emergence. I think. Emergence. Yeah. Good God, man. I should not be drinking an alcoholic beverage.
Well, yeah. So, but with that, and then,
Are you two now?
no, Shang-Chi was such.
Yeah.
It was. I enjoyed it.
We could have talked about that, which we might next week or something.
Damn it, Dylan.
There's a lot. I know. I forgot until like an hour ago. I was like, oh, we could have talked about that, but because we had some mixed emotions about that one.
I enjoyed the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but then Dylan had to go and send me things, and it's like, okay, no one said that these rings are the Makawan rings. So why didn't anyone actually say that? And he's like, "'Cause that might be these," and I'm like, the quantum bands? I don't want those. Take them back. Where's the receipt? And if they aren't, because in the movie, they did things. They did a lot of things. They did great a many a thing. But they didn't do, the things that the rings actually do. Mm-hmm. Besides, like, power buffs.
Yeah, they were the rings, but they weren't the rings. And then the Mandarin was the Mandarin, but not the Mandarin. Like, it was kind of like, we're going to give you everything that you were upset you didn't get from Iron Man 3, but we're not going to give it to you.
We went in wanting ice cream. Instead, we got Froyo.
Froyo's great. It's just
But it's not ice cream.
It's not what we expected. So, anyways, back to Eternals and the expectation. So, Shang-Chi, his rings might be summoning the Eternals or the Celestials, or
It's not summoning dragon aliens.
something like that. Yeah, probably not.
Nope. Oh,
Which we hoped for.
Side note.
I mean, maybe.
Spoiler for Guardians of the Galaxy game. Are you ever going to play this game? If not, I have a very cool thing that Rocket said. So, like, on the first mission that you do, Rocket is arguing with Peter. Of, like, if we needed money, we should have just went after Fing Fang Foom. And then I'm like, I'm going to stop playing. I can't play anymore. This is amazing. So,
Well, in that universe.
yeah. So, yeah, it was really neat. That was neat. What were we talking about?
Yeah, so this movie is going to be drastically different because it is basically the origins, the creation story of the MCU and that world, that universe, how it was created, their creation, their religion,
Yeah.
how it came about. Even though people are unaware of it, obviously, except for the Eternals who have been sitting and not helping for
A
7,000
long
years.
time.
Yeah.
Hot wow.
Yeah.
Even, what were you about to say?
Just going with the fact that this is Chloe Zhao is a Academy Award winning director. This movie is expansive. It is an epic, which means it covers the course of thousands of years, which usually we don't see in the Marvel Universe. We don't see that type of thing. They used real locations. They snagged some pretty damn big stars. And it's an ensemble movie. There's 10 new superheroes that they are introducing us to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 11 if you're counting Dane Whitman. But I'm not sure if he becomes the Black Knight or if there's a teaser or anything like that.
Or if it's like, that's just kind of like the at the end type of
Yeah.
thing.
So, I mean, at the premiere, they were asking Kit Harington, like, what can you say? And he said, my synopsis for my character said, normal guy that works at the museum.
Neat.
He was like, that's all I could say. Because, Gemma Chan's character, Cersei, is kind of like the... I assume if there was a main character, she's probably the main character because she is the most connected to humanity of these characters. She works in in this version. Yeah.
I'll give it this. It's her and Icarus are this. Like, here's Cersei, here's Icarus, and this is them, because she is the, for the most part, more peaceful one, who's more connected to humanity. He's in love with her and wants all her stuff to be good and be happy, so he will always do the things for her. But at the same time, homie wants to fight all the time. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, and
how it goes.
so so these characters have been here for 7,000 years or something. They were sent by the Celestials one of the things that Chloe Zhao said was that were they military or missionary, and she said, well, they decided that they would be missionary. So basically, they were sent to humanity by the Celestials to protect humanity from the deviants, and they're not allowed to get involved unless the deviants are involved.
in the conflict,
Right.
yeah.
So they if there's all these different wars or whatever, they can't get involved. But your neck just crazy popped.
Yeah, I'm good.
You all right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
If you fall over in a minute, I'll
You'll
just keep the show going.
There was. Go ahead, say what you were saying.
Oh, so they were sent on a missionary mission to basically protect humanity from the deviants, and just kind of guide us through and just kind of bring out the best in us and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's why all these different world wars and stuff like that they didn't get involved in because they weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
They've been here for about 7,000 years. And over that course of time, they have become a family. They've had their spats and their fights. They mentioned in the trailer that some of them they haven't seen in centuries.
Yep.
So much so that even Angelina Jolie's character, Thena, her gift is she is basically the warrior goddess, and she can create weapons,
Any weapon.
fight, and she's badass.
Yeah.
She has basically Eternal's equivalent of like Alzheimer or something like that,
Yes.
and she gets lost in time because she's lived for so long. She forgets where she's at or when she's at, or
Everything
or-
starts blending together.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
People. She doesn't recognize people. She has to like. It takes her a minute to pull up all that memory and access things that are just thousands and thousands of years of information. Could you imagine having to, like, I can't even remember like what happened like yesterday sometimes.
And keeping all that and then trying to stay sane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like there's only like the one. Feel like there's only one of the three options. Either one, somehow you just keep track of all that and it's just cool. Two, you don't care about anything that you see or remember, and everything's just like, yeah, all right, see you in 60 years. But I'm 45. Like what I said. Or you go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of different dynamics between these characters, them being family members, where certain ones are kind of rebellious. You know, you've got what's his name?
Kingo?
I don't even see him on here. Wow, they left him off of this one.
Gilgamesh?
No.
Oh, the dude who like wears the black and red, who has a cult. I can't remember his name. I see his face.
Yeah, he can control people's minds.
Mind control.
Yeah, and he thinks that humanity should serve them,
Yeah.
but he is still part of the team, and you know, and
So
And-
in the featurette, there was one of the, they showed some different scenes that we haven't seen before. If you've seen it, or if we did see it, there wasn't any like sound to it. It was just like a big, quick flash, and it was. I'm guessing they were either in Egypt or Troy, and they were watching a city burn, and they were leaving, and Ajax had to go over and like, "Oh, fam, don't stop." Don't you interfere, because homie was shaking, he was angry, and he was real deal about to just mind control everybody and tell them to stop. But she was like, no, we don't interfere with their stuff. That's their war. They can fix it. They big boys now.
yeah, because Ajax, Salma Hayek's character, is the leader.
Yep.
And she has the voice of the Eternal. She's the only one, she's the only one that can speak to the Celestials.
And her power itself is healing.
Yep. Healing. And well, I forgot to mention Cersei's power. It is basically transmuting matter. You can change the properties of matter.
Which, if you've seen that in the scene of the trailer, where it's like a bus flipping, and then she touches it, and it just goes, turns to like red butterflies or flowers?
Rose petals.
Rose petals?
Yeah. Which is an interesting choice.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
her deal.
Yeah, so she's very empathetic, and she falls in love with humanity, and she's very connected to humanity. And I think that's kind of exemplified in the trailers, at least, what she turns things into, whether it's butterflies or rose petals or stuff like that. And she actually works at a museum, so it's kind of like the whole Wonder Woman take, where she's, that's the first impression I got when I heard that.
Don't laugh at them. Yes. Interesting.
I'm trying to pull up these other ones.
Let's
So
see how Kit Harington's getting the sword.
Gilgamesh, Don Lee's character, his ability,
Hit hard.
yeah, he has like this exoskeleton thing, and he's the strongest,
Yeah.
and he could have taken out
Thanos
all by himself.
Yeah.
He's powerful.
He is powerful. And more into what the Eternals themselves. So, of every inhabitable planet within the universe and our galaxy, the Eternal, like so many Eternals are like just bloop, kind of plop down there. Titan only had 4. And if I'm saying Titan, it's like, well, Titan sounds familiar. That's because Titan was where Thanos was from. Him, his brother, dad, and all that jazz.
Star Fox,
Star
who
Fox.
is rumored to show up in the movie,
If Star Fox shows up, well, this is before.
played by Harry Styles. That rumor came out quite a while back.
I'm happy Thanos killed him. that's
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Harry Styles because
That's-
of recent news and stuff with him, Olivia
that's
Wilde and all
depressing.
that.
They could have done anybody else.
Yeah.
I guess if the only reason I would think they would do Harry Styles is if they're going to kill him off, because I mean Star Fox, and like in the comics, he's pretty looking, but he ain't like oh, and
What? Was that Johnny Bravo?
you know, like when you watching watching shows or cartoons, and like a super attractive man walks in and he has like sparkles around him, and then the background turns into rose petals, and all the girls go,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So, so yeah, Thanos' brother Star Fox, if he shows up, this is way back when there was rumors like Eternals could be Thanos' return to the big screen. We could, if Star Fox shows up, we could see a young Thanos, a little wimpy thing.
So that is a question I have, because Thanos has the deviant gene, and that's why he's the big purple California raisin.
Yes.
So I mean, and why he doesn't look like human like the rest
Like
of
the
the
rest of them.
Celestials, or the Eternals rather.
Yeah. And they were, and his folks were, trying to put him on the path to, because like, even though he got the deviant gene, we can, whoop that out of him. And then one day, his, I guess, genetics, if you want to call it that, got the best of him, and he wiped them all out. And
Yeah, that's why they usually wipe out or kill the deviant gene children, right?
right off the cuff.
Yeah,
because no matter how hard you try, they will always fall to their nature instead of their nurture. But that's what happens when you have beings created by other beings who kind of have one thing that they really believe in. When your nickname is the executioner or the judge, the thing that you create might not be too great. So yeah.
Yeah. So these Celestials, apparently there's like a new one born every billion or million years or
It's
something.
a million years.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this could be what they're referring to in the trailer of the emergence.
Yeah. Which meaning Earth is an egg, celestial in middle. Earth go crack, kill everything. New celestial, like, hey mom. So
Kind of like what Ego was trying to do. It's kind of like that's their prime directive. That's what they do, is just create worlds. And
create, consume, reproduce. And
so there is oh shoot. Galactus, is he a Celestial?
a Galactus is a lot of folks are celestials that you wouldn't think are celestials. You got Galactus is one, Phoenix is one. It's a lot of mutants too. Apocalypse, and I think that's where this
Apocalypse is a Celestial?
Apocalypse is a celestial.
Since when?
Since a while, it's not been a while.
He's not like an Eternal. He just jumped straight up
He's
to
a
Celestial
Celestial.
status. And he was like the first mutant.
He was the first mutant, which is also why they're saying like this is how mutants will come to be, because Celestials and 2 Omega level mutants are classified as Celestials. So, and there was another one who was like, he's tiny, but they vary in size. But the ones that come in the Eternals comics are these like near planet-sized beings that you can see clearly walking from 100 miles away, that usually carry some giant staff, hammer,
Yeah, like
and
we saw
axe.
Ego.
Yeah.
Or not Ego, but Frick. What's the dude's name? I thought I had the name of him right here, but in Guardians we saw.
Oh, the head? No.
Isan.
Oh,
No, was it Isan the Searcher? No, it wasn't Searcher.
No,
it wasn't
it was-
Isan.
something the Executioner.
Shoot. Oh well.
Yes.
I see his
But-
picture here as I'm trying to thumb through all these images. But yeah, so I mean that could lead to Galactus. It could lead to
Could to a lot
more, and especially with Fantastic Four being very
Space heavy.
cosmic in nature. We could see Silver Surfer and all these different things.
Could have some other folks become heralds. I think that was what it was. So, if Celestials don't have Eternals working under them, so in truth, what Celestials are, if you break it down to the nitty and the gritty, are are beings who are heralds for not Celestials. Eternals are heralds for Celestials.
Oh.
And when Apocalypse made various mutants his heralds, he basically gave them eternal level power. Because when he made like Wolverine the Horseman of War, he was unstoppable. He was already unkillable. Now he's unstoppable. Like in the X-Men Apocalypse, when he made Magneto one of his heralds, and Magneto could control the magnetic field on the planet. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And Galactus does the same thing with his heralds. Silver Surfer. I forget the rest of their names. There's a big one. There's always a big one, always a skinny one, always a cool looking one, and then a lady.
Kind of like the Black Order.
Kind of like the Black Order. And once again, heralds of Thanos.
Yep.
So Celestials have a running theme.
So just real quick, just to kind of go through the rest of the Eternals and who they are. Lauren Ridloff is Makari. You know her from The Walking Dead. She is the deaf one, and apparently she's only been an actress for 3 years.
Good goodness.
Yeah, lucky break. She is Makari, and she is the speedster of the group. And she's also a bit of a kleptomaniac.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, she keeps things. And so then Kumail Nanjiani is Kingo, who is basically like the comic relief. And during his time of being separate, he has become a Bollywood dancer. And from what I understand, he steals every scene he's in.
Yeah.
And yeah, his power is finger guns.
Of course, the movie star guy.
that's not underwhelming. And of course, we saw that in the trailers where he's like okay, he created finger guns. Wow. Like, I wonder, like, during what meeting they were like, okay, we're gonna line out everybody's power, and he was like, I want finger guns.
What do you mean you want finger guns? I just really would like finger guns, please. No. But what if no? Please? Okay, fine.
Leah McHugh is Sprite, and she's a trickster, and she has the power of illusions, like we see in the trailer. Her doing the fireworks for the people, and of course we talked about Gilgamesh. Brian Tyree Henry's character Fastos is the engineer of the group. He creates all kinds of creations and weapons and all stuff like that.
Yes.
And I think that might. Oh, of course, Richard Madden's character, Icarus, and I guess he's one of the leaders. Man. He's basically Superman, but he doesn't wear a cape.
He doesn't wear a cape. So yeah, he is also one of the leaders. And if you read any of the Eternals comics, he's usually the one that they kind of follow. He's the one that has the best relationship with most other Marvel characters. Everybody else is like, nah, fam, I don't really want you here. Every time you show up, something bad happens, Sprite. It seems like at the beginning we're definitely following him, and then also following Siri, and then they're going to meet, and then...
Cersei.
Yeah, Cersei. I said Siri.
Or
Cersei.
Selma Hayek's character Ajax too.
Yes, and Ajax.
Which
Real quick, Marvel team heroes. Not even team heroes. There's like Marvel heroes of like things usually have not crappy powers. They don't. How can I describe this? How can I explain what I'm trying to say? The Justice League. Who is the leader of the Justice League? On the surface. On the surface.
I guess Superman.
All right. What are Superman's powers? Everything. Yes. So, but then you go like over to the X-Men. Who's the leader of the X-Men?
Cyclops. Professor X.
Well, Cyclops. Professor X is...
Unless you're watching the movie versions, then Wolverine.
Yeah, then Wolverine, because everyone loves Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
But Cyclops is the actual leader of the X-Men. What's his power?
Laser blasts.
Disgusting. Yes.
Optic beams.
Optic beams. Still disgusting. Then you go over to
Boy Scoutism.
Then you go over to the Inhumans. Who's the leader of the Inhumans?
Black Bolt.
What's his power?
Blackimus Boltimus. What is his full name? It's something stupid like that. But Black Bolticon. It's like Blackimus Boltagon or something weird, stupid.
Some
70s.
weird moon name.
Yeah.
But, but yes, Black Bolt's power is
His voice.
his voice, the most destructive weapon
God help
in
him
the
if he
universe.
ever snores.
So a shock in there. What was that? What ghost possessed me just
no,
then?
that was William or Sean Connery.
Yeah, too much. That was weird. Yeah, leaders of teams in the Marvel universe, and some in the DC universe too, but more in the Marvel universe, seem to be more character than they are power. And which is fine, like if you're trying to, motivate folks and everything.
I'm sorry.
You got some
That thing holds a
defenses.
lot of water.
It holds a lot of water. You got some defenses, but if everything push came to shove and Cyclops is who all we had left, I'm like, cool, fam, just go ahead and kill me. Ajax, like same thing, power to heal. That's neat. You have some hand to hand, but you're not the strongest warrior. Black Bolt. Yeah, I mean, but if you speak too much, you're gonna destroy everything. So
Let me clear my throat.
yeah, and truth, that man ain't gonna like really talk unless he knows like you're a true threat, and even then he's gonna walk up and bye, and then
Yeah, it's more of a curse. Thing.
yeah. So yeah, so then that's kind of like, it seems like a lot of them are the leaders. Like the actual leaders are kind of tempered down in power, but raised in like moral compass and character. There's nothing wrong with that. Just pointing that out. So, unless you're Cyclops, because gross.
Well, he's like the moral compass too. Well, he was.
Green Lantern, Cyclops.
He hates Green Lanterns.
Oh my.
Hates. Wow. I feel like Cyclops was dealt a bad hand.
He was.
And then they tried to make him better, and they just made it worse.
It made it so worse.
And it just, yeah. Wolverine was the undoing of Cyclops.
Super, yeah. Hugh Jackman shouldn't have been good. If Hugh Jackman wasn't good, it could have been balanced everywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, well, not only that, he, like, even in the comics or in the cartoons, like, Wolverine just being there.
Made Cyclops unwind.
Yeah, it just undid him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
he just couldn't exist around,
Because Jean was like, oh, he hairy. Ooh.
He's got like a big strapping lad with bright red eyes who's just like the moral compass of the group and the obvious leader, and then this little hairy midget comes out with
Smoking a cigar.
claws And yeah, Jean Grey's like, swoon.
And puts it out in his hand and say, "Ooh, he hairy and he can feel." Oh.
All I can think about is the cartoon is like, Jean.
But in the cartoon, he like ended up with Storm somehow. Like him and Storm dated for a little while. You don't remember that? Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Him and Storm ended up and all that kind of stuff where he was missing a hand.
Yeah.
Man, we are getting way off.
We're getting way off track.
So, in the Eternals, they're like you were talking about the types of characters. There are basically 5 who are the thinkers, and there are 5 who are fighters. And I think it's pretty obvious which ones are which. But getting into once again, like the type of movie this is, it is not going to be everybody's favorite movie. It's not your typical. Yes, there are action scenes and there are all the crowd pleasing moments and things like that, but this is a setup movie basically. There's a lot of exposition and exposition for the Marvel Universe, where it came from, where it's going. Like you said, it's a catalyst. There's probably not a better word for that. Yeah. It's drastically different, and it's been compared to Ridley Scott's Prometheus.
Ooh.
Or Space Odyssey 2001.
Oh.
Like it kind of gets out there cosmically and in space and all that kind of stuff. Where basically, like the MCU as we know it, we're used to dealing with the ground heroes, or even with Guardians of the Galaxy, where we deal with some space stuff, but
it's all like
it's very encapsulated.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It happens. This is point A, point B, point C. End of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Then you move on.
Yeah. For the entire MCU that we know of, like to make it illustrative, basically we've been focusing on this mug, but there's an entire room that we have not even seen or known about yet.
Nope.
And in comparison, after we've been in the room and seen everything, we might not even notice the mug anymore.
Nope.
And that is also, it could be good and bad because.
But then when you come back to the mug, it's like,
populated.
Oh, neat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's got to kill some stuff off.
Yeah.
I mean, because in truth, like real talk, before Guardians of the Galaxy, everything you've dealt with was on land.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, except for Ant-Man was in San Francisco, but...
Still on land.
Yeah.
Homies have not been in the ocean. We know there's stuff in there. Mm-hmm. Homies went into space once, and then they were like, I'm on Titan.
Yeah. Basically, Asgard was like as cosmos as we ever got.
And even still, they came back to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Loki visiting... of course, in Avengers 1, bringing the aliens through the wormhole.
Chitauri.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Tony going through the wormhole.
Yep.
That's about it. That's about as crazy as it got.
It's crazy as it got.
And if you watch the What If, there was one where Tony didn't make it out of the wormhole, and he went to Sakaar, and things got cosmic a lot faster.
Yep.
So.
Homie met Thanos probably well before he should have met... I don't know. That's gonna get into
because Gamora defeated Thanos.
Yeah, Gamora defeated Thanos
in that one,
but I'm sure Tony was there to help, but he probably met him well before. I'm not gonna say should have met him, because since Tony didn't go back, Ultron didn't happen because he's the one that made Ultron in this. Mm-hmm. Hydra probably wouldn't still be around. The twins might have been more of a problem. They may have just killed them because they smooth like to do that.
I don't know because who? What do you mean they? Hydra?
Huh? Not the Hydra killing the twins. Hydra may or may not still be around, but either way, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver would have still become a problem. Just Ultron would have been there while they were a problem.
Yeah. But I don't know, with Captain America being around, like he was kind of the catalyst to them being open-minded about.
And she was super pissed about maybe they didn't happen because they subjected themselves because of the Sokovia Accords to the testing because they wanted.
No, it wasn't the Sokovia Accords. It was
they subjected themselves to Hydra to get power.
Get back at Tony. Well, so all that happened still, like all of the things that happened to them that made them who they are, still happened before Avengers 1. So all that probably still happened.
How they would have got the Mind Stone? They would have had to get Loki's scepter.
Yeah.
But then,
well, they had the Tesseract.
Thor took Tesseract back.
Oh, hold on.
They had the Loki's scepter, which had the Mind Stone, because, and they got that because remember in game, what's his face, Alexander Pierce, showed up, and he was like the head of Hydra at the time, and Hydra was actually Shield, and that's what Winter Soldier was.
That's right.
So yes, they would have still come to be to get back at Tony, who's no longer around.
Yeah, their motivations might have been different. But so as far as like the Eternals, also there is some controversy because there apparently is this trollish plan to go and bomb the audience score for this movie in the same way that Captain Marvel was done, which changed the way Rotten Tomatoes did their audience score, because now you have to confirm that you've actually seen the movie and not just have a desire to see the movie or not see the movie. Because it's such a diverse cast, and Fastos is homosexual and has a family with a child, and that really disturbs some people. Super diverse cast that looks more like the people of the world, which makes perfect sense. And some of the characters are gender bent, and it's
really weird.
People get really bent out of shape over stuff like that, and so there's this supposed campaign to bomb.
It's because they don't want to. I guess growing up with a character and you just don't want to see that character differently, represented in a different way. Because I mean, even what's his name? That one guy who wears a cape. It's red.
Superman.
That one has even like changed his way of thinking of like his slogan. Used to be what is wrong with my brain?
Truth, justice, and the American way.
Truth, justice, and the American way, and now it's not that anymore. It's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, which is better for today and age.
I mean, it still has the same spirit about it, because at the time, when it was in that
World War II,
yeah. And even up into the 80s, when there's another huge resurgence of Superman because of Christopher Reeve movies. The American way, we were fighting communism and all that. We had a common enemy, and especially over the past decade or so, we've just come to realize that maybe America isn't as bright and shiny as we thought it was. Especially for people of the same skin tone as me. It's always been like that for you, probably.
Even I remember back in 2009, I've talked about this on the show before, a super long time ago. There was a Superman comic that came out, and this police officer was like breaking up this basically block party, and it was about to be some brutality that was about to happen. And Superman showed up, and he was like, "Hey fam, you should stop. This isn't what you're here for," and all this. And there was like I met the inker and the penciler who did all the illustrations for that comic, and he said he got a lot of death threats and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, you got so many like negative, not even just negative, just like really messed up stuff sent to him. Sent to him from folks who, say that they're fans, and it's like, yeah, you need to keep. It's the whole thing of like keep politics out of comics and all that, but comics have always been political.
Yeah,
Always.
I mean, it's hilarious to me when you say that about a character that's literally called Captain America and Superman, whose slogan is truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
Like, political. Very political.
Yeah. A few months ago when...
We just happen to be in alignment with its politics, and when they don't go with ours, then we get upset.
A few months ago when they introduced the newest Captain America of the Railroads, who was part of the LGBTQ plus, I wasn't going to say it in more letters, plus community.
The alphabet, folks.
There was a lot of backlash from that as well, saying the exact same thing. But it's like, well, it makes no sense to me, and it's like I've heard the the arguments of like you don't have to make this character that way just because of that reason and everything. You can just make a new character, and then even when folks do make a whole new character, and
Like,
the only thing
like Superman's son,
Yeah.
Jonathan Kent.
Jonathan Kent, he just has the name, and that's it.
Yeah, and people were upset. Just the headline was Superman comes out as bi. People didn't take the time to look into that and realize that they were talking about Superman's son and not Clark.
Yeah.
Who,
He's just a stay-at-home dad now.
Yeah, as far as his character goes and the lore that's been that character, it wouldn't make sense to just change his sexuality because he's only had eyes for Lois for forever,
So that time Wonder Woman caught his eye and she said, "Hey,
Well, yeah.
let's do it in the sky."
It's a whole different scene than the one we saw in Superman 1 with Lois. Is this it? It's like, I'm sorry. Some people are like, remember that so fondly. That is the cheesiest part of the entire movie. In a cheesy movie, that was like...
cheesy movie. Yeah.
Am I flying? Sorry.
But yeah.
Great movie.
Great
movie. But
So yeah. So the cast being gender bent, sexuality
Yeah.
swapped, all that stuff.
All these different things.
It's fine.
I mean, like you said, he's even a child, but I mean, that was always there. Extremely diverse cast. And not to mention, so it doesn't help that same situation as Captain Marvel, that the movie isn't necessarily the strongest Marvel movie. As well with Captain Marvel, it wasn't necessarily a issue of maybe this isn't just your flavor. Like, there were some obvious issues with Captain Marvel, but with Eternals, I almost call it Celestials. With Eternals, it's a different kind of movie, and it's not trying to be
Captain America, Iron Man.
right.
Spider-Man,
Yeah. And so, like, some people are comparing it to, like, it might be one of like the big sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it is. But
And that miss happens.
yeah, I mean, and comparatively, just like A Space Odyssey, 2001. Some people watch that like it's a classic. There's no arguing. Like, it's place in cinema. There's no arguing. Like, it is a classic. No arguing. But some people watch that movie and it's not for them. They don't get it. There's a big space baby. I mean, there's the light, the tunnel of light, and all kinds of weird stuff. And but it is an undisputed classic. Yes, Quinn.
Hi. Yes. Question for the panel. Do you all remember Scott Pilgrim coming out and tanking so hard.
Oh,
and
man.
then that movie.
I discovered it after the fact. So.
Oh well,
But
yeah.
one of the best movies ever.
But yeah, it's a cult classic. It is probably
The Matrix too.
the Matrix too.
Tanked, big time, because people didn't get it. I mean, so I watched The Matrix with my daughter Maeve the other day, and I think yesterday, yeah, actually, made her sit down and watch the whole thing. And to my chagrin, she was not just blown away as I was when I first saw it, because the themes and everything are a lot more common and more popular and just more acceptable nowadays. But when that movie came out, it was so complicated that infamously Will Smith turned it down because he didn't get it.
Yeah.
And in turn ended up taking every sci-fi movie he could get.
Man, look at that DVD on
Wild
his
West.
Man, look at that. Both of them DVDs next to each other. He look in the mirror, you fool.
But I mean that is another movie that is, I mean, indisputably one of the sci-fi classics of the 20th century.
Well, yeah, and it happens so many times. Like a movie can come out and tank, and it just then overnight for whatever reason it just
Yeah. And so I know with The Matrix, it was a sleeper hit because like it hit the theater, and usually people only go to the theater, they see it once. And some people just didn't process. There's like a lot of cool fight scenes and stuff like that, but it didn't really take its place as this giant
mega film.
mega film until it came out for rent. And people were able to watch it multiple times and just really start to dissect it and process it.
Pause. Let me think about this. Sheila, I need my journal.
Yeah.
Neo sees cat. Okay, continue.
But I mean, it's so normal now that even just in the new trailer for The Matrix, like there's so many elements and just like throwbacks to the original one. It's like, oh, that, you know,
Yeah.
the cat was one of them.
Cat.
But the blue pill, all the little blue highlights, all that type of thing. But I mean, or even just the simulation theory and things like that, that at the time were mind blowing. And I mean, they were a thing, obviously, because it was based on a book, which is in the film.
Yeah.
But it wasn't commonplace, and most people had never met somebody that actually believed that was true.
Yep.
But nowadays there's a lot of people that believe that.
wait.
You know, famous people, powerful people,
Super
smart people
Yeah.
believe that. And
Super, yeah.
man, it's
What was I about to say? That movie.
2001.
Nope, The Time Machine. It might actually just be called The Time
The
Machine.
Time Machine.
Yes. That one is, I don't know how it did when it came in theaters, but that's also like, it's one of those just this timeless sci-fi movies that help define the genre. When you're the first, that's why I was trying to go to. When you're the first one doing something, it's going to be bad because no one has seen it, no one knew what to expect from it, and everyone's just like, okay, this is fine, right? This is neat. This is cool. This is fine. And then once it soaks in and they can see what you're doing more than once, or it gets explained in some way, or there's this moment in there that everything like clicks, then they're like, is this perfect? I think this is perfect. This is perfect, and now my son's name is Neo.
Like so many, I'm a school photographer, and so many girls' names are Trinity. I'm not kidding.
So, yeah.
And Thomas. I mean, I'm just kidding. It's Thomas Anderson. That was already a thing. I'm joking.
But
Yeah. So, right now, the resurgence of Dune. That book series is a huge cultural phenomenon, and most of the sci-fi in our culture, Star Wars being a huge part of that, was based in large part on Dune. And there, of course, are people who were not aware of Dune because it was some obscure early 80s movie that was weird and
weird.
And and they're saying that, oh, Dune is stealing from Star Wars or
Star
you
Wars?
got it backwards, man.
Yeah. Star Wars just hit different first.
Yeah. So that could be what we're running into with this type of thing, to where it's people's first reactions are the ones that did see it coming out of the theater are still processing it, and in the most part, as far as critics go, by and large, most critics like it. Right now, it does have the lowest Rotten Tomatoes critic score of any MCU film, but it is still certified fresh. Which is, I mean, can you even
weird.
call that low? It's still in the 80s,
Which is so weird.
And because I think only like 30 some odd percent of the critics didn't like it or thought there were issues with it,
There's issues with every movie.
Which is, I mean, 30. Yeah. It's only less than a third.
Less than a third. Yeah. I don't know what was the critic score for. We probably don't know. I don't know off the top of my head for Endgame.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I could pull it up while you're.
Critic scores and like movie reviews in general. I've been meaning to have this conversation with you all.
97%.
Wow. That plot. I'm finna talk trash about Endgame.
Because Endgame had some obvious issues.
Endgame had some
things that they're
holes. They did some. Yeah.
Speaking of, they have spent the past couple years trying to explain Endgame, and like there's still divisive issues between even the writers and directors. But this movie is the answer. Am I saying exactly what you're about to say?
No.
I'm sorry.
I was about to say, if you have to spend 2 years to fix the plot holes in a movie, you may have a slightly bad movie.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun.
Off the chain, off the top. It was like everything that you want to do with your toys as a kid. It's just in your face. But,
It's all fan service.
It was super fan service.
Which is fine.
It's fine if that's the end of everything. But
yeah, you still have to move forward. And so this movie is supposed, like, it literally happens right after Endgame. And cinematically, outside of the Disney Plus shows, this is what happens next. Okay. Because Shang-Chi
happens a year?
Well, you know what? Yeah, it happens.
It happens a while after.
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. Because it does happen after everybody's come back, because there are therapy posters and trauma posters and stuff that we see.
So it might be around the same time that Far From Home is happening.
Possibly.
Which is just a few months.
Yeah. But yeah, so this basically is like the spiritual sequel to Endgame.
Yeah.
To where it deals directly with what happened in Endgame.
I'm going to go watch Endgame and then we'll go watch this. And then I'll see what happens. Which that has to be good. But okay, yeah. Critic reviews and stuff.
Yeah, right now it's sitting at 63%. Yeah,
I don't trust it. I mean, I get it. That's your job. I don't know how you become a critic, but whatever. I live by the
61%. Excuse me.
Oh dear.
But it's still fresh
until it hits 50, which it probably will by this week, because
there is no audience score yet, though. 105 critic reviews as of right now. A 2.5-hour movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's an epic. I live by the ideology. If I like something, I'm going to support it. I'm going to, no matter how I can support it, I'll support it. Whether it's like giving money to it, whether it's like posting something. If you like have a skill that I will pay money for. I will, even if you say you don't gotta pay me money, I will give you something, money of any kind. This I need to get it touched up. This tattoo, hold on. There we go. You know how much I paid for it? A bottle of ink, because they would not accept my money. So I bought them a bottle of ink, and I had it done in the kitchen.
Wow.
But yeah, like I have a dice bag at home. I gave somebody $40 because she knitted it from alpaca, and I'm like, whoa, this is really nice and really good. And then I posted it everywhere I could, and like, hey, go support her. Try to do everything that I can. If you have a thing, I will support you. I'll support you in any way I can. And even if it's like big giant mega billion-dollar companies. Mega billion? That's not a thing.
I mean,
No.
Spider-Man itself made $1 billion.
Mega billion-dollar companies. Making money off of just like breathing in just Spider-Man. And that happens. Like I'll it doesn't matter what it gets reviewed anywhere. If I really want it, I'm gonna go get it. The only time that comes back and burns you is in video games because they make bad video games sometimes. And then they just don't try
They
to
never
fix it.
fix them.
And then they don't fix them. They're like, oh, you don't like it? And flip you off and leave.
What's Cyberpunk? It's only even playable on PC. And the hype for that.
Hype for that game.
Oh my gosh.
Years in the making.
Dude.
But that's a whole nother thing. There's 3 sides to that story. 4 actually. The truth isn't even the whole truth. But yeah, that's another thing.
The truth.
Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise. Is it Tom Cruise?
Jack Nicholson. Yeah, Tom Cruise couldn't handle the truth.
Tom Cruise and handle the truth.
Yeah.
Tom?
Feeling all right, Tom?
So yeah, but like it doesn't matter what that score is, it can drop down to 23. But I'm still gonna go see Eternals because everyone who's put like the effort that they put into this movie, they didn't get no like cheap cast. They did this and said, please work.
Yeah. So I've got a theory. Because Kevin Feige has been whispering like this is like basically their big effort to try to they got Academy nominations for Black Panther. For good reason.
Real good reason.
But this one, they were shooting for the fences, or swinging for the fences, and shooting for the stars. I got 2 things mixed up. But I think maybe some self-important critics thought, "How dare you, you stupid superhero movie?
Get up here and take my Oscar nominations." Yeah.
And so may have
Come up there and just
tried to humble it a little bit.
Yeah, make them like, this movie's amazing with tears in their eyes. 0%.
Yeah, I don't like the way this movie makes me feel. Like superhero movies are good. I hate superhero movies based on principle because I am a good movie critic.
Go home, divorce their wife and or husband because they don't really know what's real anymore. They're looking at the score and it's like, it hasn't dropped still. Leave. And children, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the audience score does. That's going to be, as long as it doesn't get bombed like, all these trolls are saying they're wanting to do. That'll probably be the real.
Stupid.
Yeah, it really is.
Because if they're having to prove that they went to the movie, it means they paid for a ticket. And then
Kevin Feige's like, do it all you want. Just keep on coming.
So, yeah, that's dumb. All right.
Mm-hmm. So, I have a theory that there are some of these critics, that's kind of like, oh, Scorsese famously said, you know, that these are roller coasters. They're just for fun. They're not
just for
real cinema, you know. And there are some critics that probably are of the same mind.
Yeah.
That are like, how dare you, Kevin Feige, getting Chloe Zhao, and actually trying to make a best picture.
A masterful film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop trying to do masterwork. Stick to your explosions, your assembles, and stay out of my world. Da 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 da.
Yeah. I love my A24.
Where's Daniel Day-Lewis when you need him?
I love A24 anyways, but yeah.
Daniel
So
Day-Lewis
yeah, I
is
mean,
name.
I have, that's my theory, is that there are some people that are just kind of like, they're offended that Marvel is like, how dare they?
How?
Stick to your popcorn stuff and don't try to actually make a good movie.
Yeah. I thought Justice League did horrible. No, Dale, that's DC. What's the difference? Okay, that's where we're
It's all
starting.
superheroes.
They all wear.
So,
capes.
I mean, to hear Chloe Zhao talk, she is extremely inspiring when she talks about how, like, the way she pitched this movie, she was wanting to do, like, she basically sent Kevin Feige a picture of this famous photo of sand. And it is to show basically how intimate all the little grains are, yet how massive it is. And that's kind of like the idea behind this film is, yes, I'm using the word film instead of movie because some people, you know, there's a difference between films and movies. Because one, you've got all these ensemble of characters. You've got all these characters, and you've got to make it seem intimate and not cluttered at the same time, which is a big problem that Sony has run into with Spider-Man 3, and then, you know, immediately constantly trying to push Sinister Six for the past, 2-3 decades.
Yeah.
Since Tobey Maguire universe. And now with No Way Home, I'm almost kind of worried.
I think
It's so ambitious.
I think they got the reins on it enough.
They're literally calling it. This is basically Spider-Man Endgame. Yeah.
The Defenders better show up then. Dang, I'll put you.
Yeah.
Shoot. If I don't see Luke Cage show up, hit somebody with a chain, y'all failed.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening.
Because Marvel did it, you know, and
Yeah.
everybody loved it, and they made it work as far as like fan service.
Yeah.
As far as plot, not so much.
No.
Or logic, not so much.
No. And I think that's just the problem that any movie that has a lot going on has. And it's not even just that. Like if you about to say his name. If you look at Transformers, Michael Bay did. I didn't forget. I just didn't want to say it. Michael Bay, he did good. Like one was good. Two was.
I like 2 okay.
Yeah, two was fun, and it's.
I hate to say it, it was better with Shia LaBeouf. And
It
Megan
was.
Fox.
It super was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just was. And
Until she called the man a Nazi, and then it just. He
it's like,
fired
get
her.
out.
Yeah. That's why she got fired. You know that, right?
Yes, that's why she got fired. Dang. I think about this. I think that's the first time I was like, wait, why did y'all switch out Megan Fox? What did she do? And yeah.
Yeah.
She's
She's having a big resurgence with Machine Gun Kelly right now.
So yeah, and then you get the Transformers 3, and it was good, but the movie was mostly like, all right, this thing's happening, this thing's kind of gonna happen, and now here's an hour of fighting, and I was like, all right, neat.
It happened so fast that like you couldn't even process or breathe. Like you have to have like the ebb and flow through the movie, so you have time to process and breathe and a good pacing. And I swear the entire movie was just balls to the wall the entire time, just like movie's over, and it's like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it's like, where was the plot? I saw them fight in a city.
That's the plot. There you go. I mean, everything happened really fast. Like, I feel like we'll talk about that later. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, everything happened really fast, and then they made everything too long in the next one. And then that's Transformers, the iteration of that Michael Bay had a hold of
Imploded.
is a perfect example of what not to do with a franchise. Like, the first two were good, the third one was good,
And then the dude got Ninja Turtles and was like, you know what? They're not going to be mutants. They're going to be aliens. And before he even, like, when that rumor came out, the fan base let him know very quick that is not okay. It's like, that is in the title of their name.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Aliens, no thank you.
Yeah. And so he, very reluctantly made them mutants.
Yeah. Which, what's the difference? What's the problem?
And even I think as like a FU to the fans, just called them Ninja Turtles instead of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hatred. It's alright. So, but yeah, and then, man. So Dylan,
Michael Bay's got some great movies, though. Don't get me wrong.
he does, and you can always tell what's in a Michael Bay movie. You know, The Last Bad Boys was a Michael Bay movie.
Oh yeah.
Well, not only the fact that he was in it, but there was one shot, and it made me ask and hold that thought until the end of the movie: is this a Michael Bay movie? Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were standing there, and they were at this penthouse, and there's this weird shot. So like they're here, and then it's just, and music was playing, and then the shot came like under them, and then they were like looking, and wind was blowing. I was like, is this a Michael Bay movie? And then I got to the end.
Of course.
Directed by Michael Bay. I was like, oh, okay.
Got that stamp on there.
So yeah.
Yeah. So every director kind of has their style, and that is obviously like synonymous with Michael Bay. Chloe Zhao does have her own style as well, and the reviews and things that I was watching basically said that this, like, even when you come out of something like Black Panther or Captain America or Ant-Man or whatever, they're all drastically different as far as tone and genre. Even though they're all superhero movies, they're, one is a political thriller and one is a comedy and, all these different things. But they feel like a Marvel movie. They've got that DNA. This one does not feel that way. It feels like a Chloe Zhao movie. And so I think that's where a lot of Marvel fans will kind of maybe be upset or just kind of rocked a little bit, be a little shaken.
I mean, I'm all for somebody taking characters and telling the story that they see to an extent. To an extent.
Yeah, you have to respect the universe.
Yeah, right. Respecting the universe and also respecting what came before instead of literally kill the past, let it die. And then getting upset when folks say that. I get it, and like if that's gonna happen, then they just need to go ahead and give you the whole, like, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So, but
I was actually excited about his trilogy.
Yeah.
I was like, start your own thing and go in a different direction and show me what you can do. Awesome. I love Knives Out.
Yeah.
It's like, he's a great director.
He's a really great director.
To go in at number 8 of 9 and say, you know what? Let's just
Reset. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that button.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He totally did.
And so, I mean, and with this being this could be uberly positive for the MCU because we've had for the past 12 years the same kind of movie. It was kind of all of them different, yes, like you said, but they kind of like once they found that formula, which is that Iron Man formula, they just start pumping these boys out.
Yeah, and they've got some criticism for that.
Yeah, and then things changed and grew and like expanded, and then they create a nice little Pluto-sized little universe. But then with the Eternals coming in and being even drastically more different than that, but still propelling the universe, they're taking Pluto, turning it into Saturn. Well, it's not Jupiter just yet. One thing will make it Jupiter.
What's that? The Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. They'll make it Jupiter.
And it's very exciting that this is kind of like the new. I think cinematically, this feels like the new jumping off point for Phase 4.
Yeah.
It's definitely the catalyst that's going to launch us into where it's going, because it's kind of felt, because of coronavirus and all these different things, we've kind of been rehashing the same stories and fleshing out characters that we already familiar with, which has been great. These Disney Plus shows have been great. And then all of a sudden Loki shows up and cracks the universe, and then we get What If.
Loki said, "All right, time to mess stuff up. Here we go." And yeah, we got Captain America, which was fun to watch, but it was like one of those very localized, like looking through a telescope story. WandaVision did kind of allude to something like the bigger story, what's coming as far as like with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, obviously. And we know that there is more coming with Captain America 2, or Part 4 also. But it still feels very localized comparatively. Yeah. But Captain America's stories always kind of have been only in the first Avenger did he ever deal with an Infinity Stone. Everything else was just bad guys. Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
yeah.
We're trying to get
And
Bucky
I
back.
thought they were, they did that very well. Where one of the things I was worried about from the very beginning is the same thing that you deal with in comics, where you've got like, Spider-Man is dealing with this massive, earth-shattering problem, but nobody else shows up, and he is in New York City, and there's like. Literally
everybody.
Everybody's in New York City,
Like,
and nobody else shows up in his comic.
You got to explain why no one else showed up. In the Spider-Man game, they address that because you can, like the Wakanda Embassy, the Sanctum Sanctorum, Avengers Tower, the Baxter Building. You can visit those locations, and like he'll perch there, like you stop there, you perch. And then he'll give some little quip of like, I guess T'Challa's not in the country right now, or, Strange isn't here. Wong's gone too. That's strange. And then he goes to Avengers Tower. Goes to Avengers Tower. Oh yeah, I just saw the news clip that they're in the West Coast. Or and you go to the Baxter Building. They haven't been here for years.
They're still lost in space.
So
Basically, the Fantastic Four is lost in space. Like that's the same. They're the Family Robinson.
yeah. Danger.
Yeah.
Let them have a robot when they come. No, that's too much. I'm sorry. Okay. But yeah.
Season 3 is about to drop on Netflix, though.
Finally ready to finish that.
Yeah, that's a good series.
I finished a lot of seasons this week. I'm sad.
Getting that closure, but then you feel like, what have I done with my life?
Yeah.
I feel that way every time I finish a giant RPG. It's like,
What do I do
accomplishment. Wait a minute, that's not real accomplishment.
now? There's a show. The finale is still on Hulu. I hadn't finished it. It's been 3 years. I just don't want to start the last episode. Because it's the end. Like, there was a point in time where I just didn't finish things. Because it's like, well, if I finish it, it's over. If I don't, it's just still there. So,
That's hilarious.
yes. But yeah. All right.
Yeah, so the MCU is about to get a lot bigger, a lot crazier, a lot more interesting, because, I mean, they're going to, with this movie, they ask a lot of much bigger philosophical questions that, you know, that the comics have dealt with.
Yeah.
You know, comics deal, like, they ask the hard questions a lot of times. And but the MCU has only kind of danced around a little bit, and they I think maybe the deepest they've really got into is with, you know, Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where they've really just like got closer to bigger issues.
I think they did it in Black Panther, but they were fighting while they did it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, they balanced a lot of like philosophy between, like, even just the philosophy between, like, the classic but philosophy between Malcolm X and Dr. King.
But in fighting form, and they're both in panther suits fighting underground in a alien metal cavern. It was cool. You should go watch it.
Yeah, in the most fanboy way possible.
Yes. This week on Death Battle.
Could you imagine just like Dr. King never, or Malcolm X especially, probably not, never would have imagined them having those, taking their philosophies and their ideas and reducing them to
Entertainment.
we're going to take your ideas and we're going to dress a guy up in a cat suit and they're going to fight each other and talk about that type of thing, you know.
And they would start being like, wait, what do you mean? And they look over, hit him with a right hook.
Yeah. You know, it's going to make it fun. We're also going to throw in the Black Panthers. So.
Boy, howdy. Well, so I also learned things about Panthers the other day. This is nothing to do with the show anymore. I have nothing else. That Panthers aren't panthers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're just
Black leopards.
black leopards. You can also, well, if you have a lion that ends up having the mutation where it turns black as well, you can also call it a black panther because they're all under the same family of Panthera. Yep.
Thunder.
Thundercats. Ho! That's the best note to end the show on.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing else.
Nothing else.
All right, so thank you guys for watching. If you have anything you'd like to say, drop that in the comments. We appreciate you watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. And, of course, let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon.
Dang.
So that you know when we drop new videos and when we go live like this. And keep the conversation going. And don't forget to check out the website at www.broken.picturesnew.com. This is Dylan.
I'm Quinn.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.